like, hey, I'm thinking about them. I'm going to text them. If that goes through my brain, here's what happens. I'm like, oh, what if but they never text me? What if they never liked me to start with? What if they're like, why is she texting me? What if they forgot me? Like, these are all of the like, and then or what if they're like, who is this?
Yeah.
Because they don't have my number. And
New
then I'm
phone,
like,
who dis?
then I'm like, this is Stephanie from 2019. And like,
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Not There Yet podcast. Ever wonder what happens when an introvert marries an extrovert? It's a love story and a survival guide, so let's talk about what happens when one of you wants to go out and the other one just wants to take a nap. That's going to be a good time. Here we go.
hey everybody, welcome back to the Not There Yet podcast.
Howdy.
This is episode number 6.
Number 6.
And this one is titled, Help, I'm an Introvert married to an Extrovert.
I still like that title.
Help. That was my like,
Help me.
Help, I'm an Introvert married to an Extrovert. I won't say which of us is which just yet.
If you know us though, you know which is which.
Yeah, you probably know. So I will say this. We're basically living proof that opposites attract.
I agree with that.
So,
but also similars attract.
Yeah. What do you mean? What are you saying?
Like Enneagram tendencies. We have some tendencies that are similar.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm talking about in this specific
the
context.
Introvert versus extrovert.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I thought you meant just like
That's
overall.
correct.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So I have me and my trusty friend, Mr. ChatGPT, came up with some rapid fire questions.
All right.
For us to answer.
Okay. Are they good?
I think they're good.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited to run through these.
We'll
go fast, and we just need to. It is a who is more likely to set of questions.
Oh, so like you ask the question, we both answer?
Yeah, or we just. Yeah, I'm gonna ask who's more likely to blah blah blah, and then we say who's more likely to.
Oh, okay.
So who's more likely to blah blah blah?
Well,
blah blah blah.
It depends on the situation.
I do not say blah blah blah.
But you do blah 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 sometimes. But I blah blah blah.
That's from
also.
a movie.
I know it's from a movie.
Okay.
But I'm saying like the blah blah blah.
Okay. So
right.
You ready?
I'm
gonna go.
Yes, do it.
Are we good to just jump right in?
Might as well.
We're jumping in. Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. Who's more likely to leave a party early without saying goodbye? You know what that's called, by the way? It's called an Irish goodbye.
Is it an Irish goodbye?
I think it is.
I've heard it.
Let me see what the internet says.
I know it was Irish goodbye, but I would say you. Unquestionably. You hear the sound that's the typing on the keyboard.
Did you hear that?
I did.
An Irish goodbye is the act of leaving a social gathering without saying goodbye to anyone.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes referred to as an Irish exit.
That would be you.
I think I have Irish blood, so that makes sense.
That would make sense. I mean, I think I do too, but I got to tell everybody bye before I leave. You
do. I think when we leave my family gatherings, you tell more people bye and give more hugs than I do, if I'm being honest.
Well, I'm sorry.
I kind of am like, okay, bye, love y'all, see ya. Okay, who's more likely to make friends in the grocery store line?
Well, if you're throwing packages of time at them, it would be still me.
I would argue that is not a friendly encounter.
Like,
throwing herbs at people's faces, even if it is an accident.
So sorry for my wife's behavior. Let's be friends.
Yeah, you would be the friend maker there. Also, like sitting next to you on an airplane or any other scenario.
No. Airplane, no. Like, it's got to be the right situation.
But you talk to people. I don't. I avoid it.
Well,
I like put my headphones on and get my book or my computer and just I try to not.
I go back and forth on that one though, like on an airplane, because
I know this is my point. This is my point.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, it depends on the day.
You like friends.
Okay, most likely. Okay,
who's more likely to make friends in the grocery store line? That would be you. Okay, who's more likely to suggest a spontaneous night out?
Oh.
This one, I think, could go...
That actually goes to you, I think, would be the nod on that one.
I think so. And here's why. Because usually if it's a night out, it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be like, let's go get 20 of our closest friends and go out somewhere. Very likely not. Now, we do go out with friends or family sometimes, but like, that's not going to be my go-to.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless I'm just having a day that I'm like, this sounds fun, which, I mean, occasionally can happen.
It does happen on occasion.
Yeah. Okay. Who's more likely to need a recovery day after being around people?
That's you.
100%.
That would be you. 1,000%.
Who's more likely to talk to the Uber driver the whole ride?
Lord, okay.
Listen, I have been in Ubers with you, and I know the answer to this. It is you. Who's more likely to sit in the front seat so they can have better conversational access with the Uber driver? Also you.
Okay, listen. You're right, and it's not only true in the United States. It's also true when I'm overseas. I'm like, hey, can I ride up front? Is it safe for me to ride up front? And they're like, sure, Mr. White Man, jump in the car with us.
And I'm like, backseat, third row. I'll take the third row in the Uber. Not really.
So for context on my Mr. White Man comment, I work in Nigeria and in Ghana. So important to note that the majority of the time in
the city of Paris, all alone in the middle of the day for the first time. I don't speak much of the language, so enough to like greet somebody if I walk into a place. But I literally went almost the entire day without speaking unless I needed to greet someone or be polite. And it was actually really amazing. It was really fun to just observe and take it in. Yeah. You could never.
You're right. And
you wouldn't like it. I thought it was great.
I would feel weird about it.
Yeah. But I was like wandering the streets of Paris and it was
trying not to attract attention.
Well, also just like taking in the city and the languages around, like the language around me and food and all of that.
It's best to absorb culture that way without infusing your own into it.
Yeah. So see, I can absorb culture here at home quietly. Okay. Who's more likely to start a deep conversation 5 minutes before bed?
Oh, okay.
I think that's probably me.
We're both guilty about that sometimes.
That's true. I think you are more now because you don't have a job that requires you to get up at like 3:30 or 4 in the morning. Like early in our marriage, when you had to get up super early, I was more prone to it, and you were probably like, "Lord help me, I need to go to sleep."
Well, I did see on a Facebook memory this week. Well, I don't remember if it was today or another day, but my alarm. It was us getting up to go to some kind of conference, and it said alarm set for 2:30 on work days, and then alarm set for 5:40. Which one am I more excited to get up?
That's
to
terrible.
The conference.
That's the middle of the night.
But 2:30, I would cook eggs at 2:30 in the morning. Nobody would wake up that I knew of.
Well, I did when I smelled them. When I was pregnant with our youngest, and you made cheesy scrambled eggs at like 3 a.m., I would always wake up and be like, I'm craving eggs. And there were some days that you would come home from work and do you remember this?
Yep.
And I'd be like, will you please make me some eggs?
You would ask that, and I was happy to.
And you did. You made some good scrambled eggs. Okay. Who's more likely to host a dinner for 12 people and enjoy it?
It's me.
Yeah, you for sure. Who's more likely to have a meltdown when the calendar gets too full? You can say it.
You.
It is true. It's me. I do get overwhelmed if my schedule is too packed and I don't have any time for me. And if I look ahead at the calendar and I'm like, when do I get to have a moment without people in my space or words coming at me?
Yeah.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's more likely to volunteer to lead something without thinking through it first?
Oh, golly. That's me, but like
100%.
All the time. If it involves not thinking about it beforehand, it's going to be me, because I do things.
You are more impulsive for sure.
Not spontaneous. Not to be confused with spontaneous.
With spontaneity.
Impulsive. Spontaneity is such a joyful. I love that you're spontaneous. I was
like, you are not very spontaneous.
That's what I'm saying. It is a gift, and I don't have.
But you are impulsive.
I am impulsive, and there's a difference.
And I'm less impulsive and can be more spontaneous.
Yeah.
If I'm leaning into fun stuff side and I'm in a healtly place and all that.
Stuff.
Yeah, vacation stuff.
Yeah.
It's like Florida Stanley, it's not, I wouldn't say Florida Stephanie, but maybe. Vacation Stephanie.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Who's more likely to be the first to leave church after service?
That would be you.
It would be me. Who's more likely to hang out in the lobby and talk for 45 minutes after?
That would be me.
True. Because you are like your mommy.
Yeah.
She does that too.
That's true. That's why my parents take separate vehicles, I think.
That's funny.
Because
we don't.
She got to chat. Man.
I just wait.
We got to talk.
Or hang out next to you while you're talking to somebody.
That's true. And I've gotten better about introducing you to people now.
You have gotten better.
Used to.
There was a time
Man.
where I would walk up and stand there and you're just carrying it on. And I was like, and I'm his wife, Stephanie. Don't know if you've heard about me.
I used to feel so bad about that too.
I tried not to be rude about it. I just said that super snarky on here, but I don't think I...
You were never rude.
Okay.
In person, you weren't. When we got home, though...
I was like, you couldn't introduce me?
A lashing that would happen.
Did you forget? Lashing?
I'm kidding.
Come on.
I'm kidding.
Wow. Disclaimers galore here. He does not lash me. I do not lash him.
I was going to say, no, I don't.
Nobody lashes anybody in this marriage.
We're very calm and kind.
Okay, who's more likely, this is interesting, who's more likely to say yes to plans just to make someone happy?
Probably me.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think we both at certain times were more prone to that.
Yeah.
But I think we both have grown out of that. What do you think?
Yes. I would agree with that because in church ministry, I felt obligated sometimes. Mm-hmm. And there was a yes, and it wouldn't be that I would not talk with you and be like, hey, is this something that's something we can find bandwidth for? And
you were just like, hey, we got invited. We need to go to this.
And it wasn't that people were demanding. It was just invitations. And sometimes it was work related. It was like, I got to make a decision right now.
It makes sense to say, yeah that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we definitely have grown in that because now we have conversation. And even, I would even say like beforehand, sometimes we're like, if this situation comes up, let's talk about it first.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was just an area of growth. Okay. Last one. Who is more likely to cancel plans at the last minute and secretly feel relieved? Or have plans canceled? Maybe not the person canceled plans equals relief. Who is it? It's me. We all know this. You're looking at me. Y'all cannot see his face, but he's looking at me like, dare I say this out loud? Of course. We all know it's me. Now, there are times when canceled plans are a disappointment.
Yes.
But there are times that I'm like, well, I guess I can put my soft, comfy pants back on and go to the couch or go to bed and just enjoy an evening
Sometimes I get amped up and ready for the plans and then they don't work out. And then I'm like, what do I do with this?
Then you have energy.
Social energy that needs to get cooked out of me.
Prepared to like direct in a direction.
Direct in a direction.
Yeah.
Focus in a different space that I'm going to have to now. So yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's not a negative thing. That's okay. Like it's okay to be okay with plans being canceled at the last minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that it's...
I don't like hope for them, though.
Well, the question is now, like, do we just make some plans with some people and then just cancel them?
Just so that I can feel a sense of relief?
So they can also feel the relief, too, because there's almost always...
So we should find the introverts in our lives and do them favors.
Yeah.
By making plans that we don't plan to follow through with and cancel.
That sounds so terrible.
Secretly be like, you're welcome. I knew you needed this sense of relief in your life. That would be terrible. We're not really going to do that, by the way.
That's so bad.
That would be really bad.
So if we cancel plans with you, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Most likely. But also maybe likely.
Okay, so we've gone through that list. I think it's pretty clear which of us is an introvert and which is an extrovert.
Yeah, if you didn't catch which one that is, then you weren't listening to the rapid fire questions, which were super important.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just put it out there just in case it wasn't clear. I'm the introvert.
And I am the extrovert.
That's right. And so I think it's important before we get started or before we go further that we really clarify what we mean when we say introvert and extrovert.
Yes.
That I think a common confusion around those words is that people think of them as like, well, an introvert means they're shy and an extrovert means they're loud or more charismatic or something. And that can be how they play out in front of people, and that might be the observation, but that's not always true. Ultimately, just to set the stage here, it defines how you are recharged, like how you're what fills your battery up versus
Yeah.
what drains your battery. So for me, peopling, as I like to call it, tends to drain my battery. Now, that does not mean that I don't like people. It does not mean that I don't want to be around people.
Yeah.
It just means that I have to be more aware of my tendency to need some time on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And my battery has to refill at some point so that I can use it again. For you, how is your battery refilled? Well,
it's like one of those electromagnetic things. I don't know if that's an actual phrase.
What? Like a battery?
The more interaction with people I have, the more energy that I am expending and bouncing off of people, the more energy I get.
It's like creating energy and filling your battery.
Yes.
Yeah. So your battery fills, and it could it's like the Energizer
It just stays
bunny.
going. And like I think about introverts sometimes in the concept of like the old batteries that like the rechargeable batteries from back in the day. Like you could charge them and then they wouldn't last quite as long the more you charged them. So you got to be careful with an introverted person, because sometimes if you overexpend that battery, it doesn't recharge fully in a normal amount of time. Like sometimes you got to have more. For an extrovert, for me, like the only time I'm not recharging is if I'm not taking care of myself physically and mentally, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm mostly healthy in those areas, like I can just keep being around people and I'm fine to go.
And that also, I should say this, this does not mean that there are not times that being around people doesn't energize me. Like there are times that I'm with people or friends or family and I'm having a great time and I feel energized in the moment. It's when I get on the other side of that, my body feels the need for like, okay, that was great and I loved it and I felt energized in the moment, but it really took a lot out of me. And I think for you, it's also important to note that you still love going to the golf course alone because for you, there's still value in having time alone and having a time to be with your thoughts and like process things or just have some space outdoors without other people around. And that doesn't mean that time isn't valuable to you and that people aren't valuable to me. It's just how the most common way that our battery gets filled is alone time, quiet time versus people time. Yeah.
And I like you said, I do value and I do enjoy solitude. But if I have it in too big a dose, is like I can make it just fine on being solitary. But there's a craving and a yearning that's there. Like I need interaction with people. Like, and it's also important to distinguish too. Like just because an extrovert is an extroverted person doesn't mean they're wild and crazy all over the place. Younger me, I was everywhere. I was a hot mess. Age and experience have kind of tempered that back some, but I still got to be around people.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard for an introvert sometimes to be around folks because sometimes people think of that as somebody who's withdrawn. And like you said a minute ago, that doesn't like people. And those are misconceptions that I'm glad that we're clarifying that now because it is about that recharge. And so.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we've set the stage.
Yeah.
I think I have a few notes or just questions to float out there for the conversation, and I think you do too. So do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Go.
So, question number 1 for me. When did you first realize we were wired totally differently when it comes to people and social energy?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. I would say probably... I'm working through this here. I can think of 2 different scenarios or times that I'm looking back on. So the first one would be, this was before we were dating.
Oh.
We both were sponsors on a youth ski trip where you very kindly taught me to ski and sacrificed some fun on some more challenging slopes to teach me. That was when I was like, okay, this guy's a keeper.
I just knew this hot chick wanted to learn how to ski, and I knew how to teach, so I was going to do that.
And the ski patrol guy did call me your girlfriend, or called you my boyfriend. He called me your girlfriend because I went flying down a hill and did not stop. And he said, you need to teach your girlfriend how to stop.
And I was like,
and
you're right.
And neither of us said,
my girlfriend how to stop.
Neither of us said, I'm not his girlfriend or she's not my girlfriend. But I think we both were hoping that would be true. And it was a few weeks later.
There was no internal upsetness about that designation.
Yeah. So, but basically, I remember, because I was a youth trip, we were both aged out of the youth group by then.
Yeah.
But we were sponsors, and you had a blast, and I wasn't. I was a little more social then. I didn't have kids. I didn't have like, you know, a really demanding job or anything like that. That kept me from like, okay, I need to, you know, my attention wasn't as spread then.
Yeah.
But I did notice that you really loved being around people and cutting up and being goofy and just having a good time. And then second to that would be when we got married and you started being around my family more. And even around my family, I'm content at times to just sit back and chill and whatever. And you definitely made friends with all of my family really fast. Yeah. And at times I was like, I think they like him better than me. Not really. But I think, you know, you were just a little more like outgoing and fun. And I've never been a super outgoing person. Like it's just never been natural for me to be like that. But it is more natural for you.
Yeah. I you know, what's interesting is you and I see those experiences a little bit differently. Like,
tell me more.
It just felt natural, and I think that's part of the extroverts.
Like with my family, or just in general.
Just in general, like it just feels more natural. Now there are times when I am like super insecure about myself, and I am like, it's really. I remember a couple of times, you know, being in groups of people that I was supposed to be interacting with. And like learning who people were, and I'm like, I don't want to talk to these people. But that was more about emotional health at that time than it was about my extroversion. But for me, like, and I think about the ski trip that we went on, and like there was definitely, now I know it was mutual. I felt like it was mutual then, but there was that interest that was there, and I'm watching you, and I'm like, you know, she's a couple years younger than me, but she doesn't act like she's younger than me. And it was.
That's right, because I was acting like a grandma.
Probably. No, you weren't acting like a grandma, but you definitely had the way you carried yourself and the way that you interacted with people was very different than people that were my peers as far as the same age and younger than me. So there was an automatic like, okay, but observing that it was somebody who knows how to carry themselves around adults and around other people. And so for me, I'm like, okay, she's very different than me. She's a lot more mature than I am. And then fast forward to being around family. And I'm walking around Thanksgiving with Paw and talking to him about, you know, something, and I reach into
this is my Paw for listeners. Like,
sorry, her Paw, her granddad.
I mean, we all call him Paw, but this was not somebody you grew up with. This
no,
was
it's not.
At this time was
still
a relatively new relationship within a couple of years of us getting married.
Well, this is even before we.
This was before marriage. Okay. Yeah, so, wow. So very.
We had not even been engaged yet.
Okay.
So it was the Thanksgiving.
Of the year we started dating?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm hanging out and I'm snacking I'm reaching around to grab some brisket and all of a sudden I feel a slap on my butt and it's Paw telling me, get out of that as he reaches around me. That was the point where I knew I was in. Yeah. Right. So like in that moment
because he slapped your butt and was joking around with you.
Yes. Yeah. At Thanksgiving. And I was, you know, they invited me to come hang out and stuff, but they also didn't treat me like I was an outsider.
Yeah. No.
So there was some of that there, but you know the concept here is with extroversion versus introversion. Like in those moments, in the first couple of years we were married, like there were a lot of conversations we would have coming home from family gatherings, and you're asking, why did you say that? And it wasn't that you were being overly critical. It was just I was just, again, younger me was a hot mess. Like I was trying to be the center of attention. I was trying to be funny. I was trying to be in the middle of it. And anybody who knows me from that younger part of life, oh yeah, that tracks. You
were acting out of your insecurities, and I was responding out of my insecurities in our relationship.
That very much goes into our personality bent, though. Like your introvertedness, like there was some general unhealth and insecurity that's there with your introverted side that made you feel like I was going to make us look bad as a couple. And for me, I was just trying to be the middle of everything because that meant that nobody saw the frail person that I really was. It was a deflection. It was a facade. And so that's some of the struggle that comes with introverts and extroverts. Wow, we really got way off on this. But like that's good. But there's some of that natural bent where you overcompensate in the direction of either extrovert or introvert. And again, man, when I see folks who were like I was at that time, they're just so loud and in the middle of everything, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on. And not that I'm second guessing their funness, but I'm saying like,
but you've been there.
I've been there, and like I had a giant afro. Like my hair was
Not
huge.
before then.
Yeah,
in
sorry, but
high
like,
school.
and so,
Yeah.
golly, I'm all over the place.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm tracking with you.
Jumping
We're
back to
trying
high school
here.
years, that afro was like my way of like,
Was your security blanket?
look at the attention that you can pay attention to this, so you're not seeing how
you don't see
broken
me
I
for
am
me
on the inside.
Yeah.
So and it's and an introvert will tend to withdraw and pull away from people because they don't want people to see who they are for the insecurities that they have.
Yeah.
We are so weird as a species.
Well, I mean, we're
so
just peoply.
Yeah. All right. So
okay.
Wow. So that's when we first realized we were wired totally differently.
Okay. So now, it's okay. It's good. We're going to jump back in here though.
Jeez.
So now, what do you think about this? How do those traits show up for us now in different scenarios? So like church or family gatherings. So not who we were 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but currently, how do we see that show up? Like you can say how you see that show up for me, and I could say how I see that show up for you, maybe in those different social scenarios.
Okay.
Start with church.
Start with church. Okay. So I'm the first one to want to jump in and do something, right? Without thinking it through. That's the impulse side. But I love hanging out and talking with people. Like I will make off the cuff comments sometimes in our small group to just rile somebody up. Somebody said something the other day in our small group about Jesus looking more like me because I'm a little bit darker and I have some Middle Eastern descent. And I said, yeah, y'all don't forget about that. And one of the guys goes, yeah, well, Jesus had more hair. And it was so funny. I love that. It was really funny. But
and our small group is full of people I would say are mostly introverts. Yeah. Would you say that?
Yeah. Our pastor and I are kind of the extroverts in the room. And there's a couple of others in the room who are a bit extroverted too. But I think that the majority of the people in the room, like in that moment, I'm just kind of like, I'm just trying to stir up a little bit of humor, lightheartedness to try and, get people talking about stuff. So that's one way that I do that. I love chatting it up with people around after church. I love doing that in years past. I love doing it now. I'm learning more about how to get out of the conversations that I either start or find myself in. Still not great at it.
Are you saying that you get trapped in conversations sometimes?
Yes. And what I mean by trapped is that I'm holding you up from us getting out of there.
Well, I have no problem now with walking up to you and being like, okay, you ready to go? We got to get.
Yes, thank you.
Got to get.
But the problem is that I love having those conversations with people. I love chatting with them. And we could all chat each other's ear off. I had lunch with a guy yesterday for 2 hours and we weren't done talking when I was like, I have got to go back home so I can finish working. And so that was super fun. Yeah. Around family, I mean, just in the middle of everything, always.
You?
Yeah. I mean, in the middle of board games, in the middle of the kids. They're not all small now. They're getting bigger, the kids are. So they're not as fun to chase around the house. But just trying to kind of interact with all the kids and stuff in the middle of all that. But extrovertedness with family, I don't know how to really quantify that. But what do you think? I'm going to kick it back to you because the look you're giving me right now is making me feel really insecure. I'm
sorry.
Myself.
No, I was processing what you were saying because I initially said, why don't you say about how you see that show up for me in those scenarios? And I would say that about you, and you said it about you. So I was trying to reframe what I was going to say just now.
Okay.
Which is totally fine. No. We're good. We're great.
Okay.
We're good.
Sorry. Okay. So do you want me to say about you now?
No, I'll say about me now.
Okay. You say about you.
Say about me. I don't know. Okay.
Say something. Anyway.
Okay. So I think that, I mean, it's just kind of the opposite of you, I guess.
Yeah.
In church scenarios, like in small group or whatever, I'm definitely more prone to hold back until I feel there's some element of like trust and like camaraderie that I want to feel before I start sharing or speaking up, like especially in small group. Like I want to feel like it's an okay place for me to do that. Yeah. But also just in conversations or whatever, I'm probably not going to. I don't like surface level conversations.
Yeah.
I prefer like authentic, meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen across the board for everybody, but I am more prone to, if I do get into a good conversation with somebody, to take it beyond the weather faster than maybe somebody else would. Especially if I find somebody like me and we're like, oh yeah, we could talk about that right now.
Yeah.
And so that's a way that shows up. I don't know if that's necessarily introversion, except deep conversations do give me life, and shallow conversations that feel like are just obligatory with random people. That's part of what drains me.
Okay. Yeah.
It's because it feels like I'm expending energy for nothing.
Yeah.
Like just to be polite.
Yeah.
And I don't care for that.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And I'm not saying I'm going to be impolite to somebody, but I am aware of that.
That's wild. Like thinking about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think about it. Like I don't see it like that, which is so interesting. And that's just the differences on how we're wired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. So family.
Tell me more about you.
As if you don't know enough. Gosh.
Well, I was the very smellfish extrovert, and talked about me just a minute ago when I was supposed to be talking about
that's
you.
not selfish. I think you just I miscommunicated or you misunderstood. It's all good. Okay, so I think family, it definitely I'm going to say something that's really funny now to me, or it's not funny. It's just something I became aware of a few years ago is like growing up, I felt social anxiety a lot, and I didn't have the word for it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have the words to put to what I was feeling. I just always felt anxious in social situations.
Yeah.
And therefore I hung around with adults a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my I grew up with cousins around my same age and a sister. And so we would all hang out too, but I would get ribbed by them pretty frequently because I hung out with the adults a lot. Like I would just sit in there because it felt safe and comfortable to be near my mom or whatever. And so I battled that like insecurity.
Yeah.
But even then, the social anxiety I felt like in places where I didn't know people transferred into spaces where I did know people. Like I would do something and I would think, is my aunt going to think bad of me because I did this or something, which is, I don't know many kids that are really worried about how their aunts or uncles feel about them or like extended family or whatever. I felt that. And so I fight that even now. I'm
that's
like,
so interesting.
Yeah. Which maybe that's more of an insecurity thing than a like introverted thing, but I think it kind of goes together.
Yeah, I do think it goes together.
Yeah. So, and I think with friends, like the friends thing, like you have a lot of acquaintances.
Yeah.
And almost every week you go to lunch with somebody because you want to hang out and get to know them or just check in on them.
Yeah.
You'll text people randomly. So this is a difference, I guess, here. And I'm calling this out in you. And I think it's a really good thing. I have a harder time like initiating that because I get a little overwhelmed socially sometimes. Like if my phone's blowing up all day long, I'm like, I don't even want to mess with it. So I'm not starting any new conversations. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think my friend circle tends to be smaller than yours. And sometimes there's some crossover, but it's just in general what you need versus what I need shows up differently.
Yeah. And part of, and I'll just say this, part of the motivation behind me just randomly texting folks is like, I'll just think of something randomly with one of my guy friends from years past. And I'm like, I need to check and see how he's doing. And I mean, I don't know that guys do that nearly enough, but
I love that you do that.
They may not even care about me checking in, but I'm like, I just want to talk. I want to see how they're doing. Like maybe this will spur a conversation, just some stupid joke back and forth. I don't know, but
for the most part, I don't do that.
Yeah. And that's
if it's been like 4 years since I talked to somebody,
their
number's still in my phone probably, but if I think about them, there's a good chance I'm not going to do that. Now, I have gotten a little better about that over the years, like some just random things here or there, but it's not to the extent that you do. And I tend to think, you're like, hey, I'm thinking about them. I'm going to text them. If that goes through my brain, here's what happens. I'm like, oh, what if but they never text me? What if they never liked me to start with? What if they're like, why is she texting me? What if they forgot me? Like, these are all of the like, and then or what if they're like, who is this?
Yeah.
Because they don't have my number. And then I'm like, this is Stephanie from 2019. And like, and they're like, wow, this girl really is desperate. This is what I think in my brain.
This is a fundamental thing too with extroverts and introverts. and I've been so guilty of this over the years throughout every aspect and walk of life. I have unintentionally overvalued my relationship with people, like my place in their lives, right? And what I mean by that is I'm like, man, I really enjoyed that person. So I enjoyed that interaction I had with them. And maybe
you assume it's reciprocal.
I assume it's reciprocal. Yeah. And I run the risk,
which is not a bad thing.
It's not, but I also run the risk of having my feelings hurt really bad if it's not reciprocal with somebody who I really enjoyed being around. And I'm learning now that it's okay that not everybody holds me in the same regard that I held them, right? And that's okay. And it shouldn't be heartbreaking. It's just life, right? And our pastor said one time, he said, proximity equals relationship a lot of times. And he's right about that. He and I had a conversation about it. And proximity equals relationship. And that's introverts or extroverts. Extroverts just tend to put themselves in places where they're gonna see people more. Yeah. And that's just how that interaction happens.
Yeah. And I tend to just kind of avoid because I anticipate I might get hurt. Yeah. And you don't anticipate the hurt, you anticipate the relationship, and I anticipate the what ifs that are not always positive. And so then I just avoid altogether. Yeah. And I've been working through that and trying to get better about that. And there are a few scenarios in recent years that I've kind of I really pushed through that and it was worth it or whatever. Yeah. But my instinct is very different.
Yeah. And what's funny is, an extrovert will drag introverts along with them. A couple of guys that I meet with on a pretty regular occasion, they're both introverts, and their marriages, both of their wives are very extroverted, and they are not at all. And so they kind of hide behind their wives' personalities. And their wives are great people. They're a lot of fun. I've not hung out with them, the wives, very much, but the guys.
So I need to go hang out with their wives because they'll pull offset me.
They'll drag you along.
Offsetting them.
Well, and these two guys, we're having deep conversations, and it is awesome. And I love the relationship that we're building. But they're introverted enough that they needed some knothead like me to come drag them out of that shell and be like, hey, it's not so scary out here. Come hang out. Right. And you just need those kinds of people in your lives. I need people in my life to be like, hey, bro, you're doing too much. You are out in the middle of places you don't really need to be right now. And honestly, in our marriage, you've kind of been that person for me to be like, hey, you need to tone it down just a notch. Like the Friends episode where Ross does the thing with his hands. If you know the episode, you know what I'm talking about.
I wish this is. I don't wish we're on video very often because high insecurity.
Right.
But this is a moment when I wish we did because I'm we're both doing it with our hands and.
Yeah, I'm hoping by episode 10 we'll have video started. Okay. I'm putting a place marker here in episode 5. We're halfway. No, this is 6. Oh my gosh, the numbers.
Yeah.
10. We have 4 episodes to make it.
Okay.
We'll work anyway, on that. Let's continue.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
Oh, I thought you were about to sneeze, and I was about to pull my earphones.
Not into the mic. No.
I was like, what is happening?
I was gonna say, is it my turn to ask a question next?
Yes, ask a question.
Yes.
Go.
Yes. All right, so this is the last extrovert question I'm going to ask as far as the intro to the thing. We're a ways into this. No,
we're at intro still?
No, I just know. One of my intro questions. We just got way off the conversation.
Ask it.
Well, I was going to ask when did you first think, wow, he's a lot? When do you remember that first time?
An unfair question because I've never thought, wow, he's a lot.
Really? Okay. Next question.
There have been scenarios that I've been like, he's a lot right now. But you, in and of yourself, are not a lot.
Okay. Thank you. That's nice. I feel like I'm a lot sometimes. Okay, so
I can be too in my own way.
I don't think
we
so.
both have a lotness in different ways. How about that?
Allotness. I like that. It's a new word. Okay, so I'm going to jump to a different question. It's communication and connection is the topic that I have here.
Okay.
And the question is, what's interesting about you and me is that we're opposite of our introvert extrovert tendencies sometimes. It's about processing things like thoughts. I process things internally a lot. You process things externally.
That's true.
A lot.
That's true.
So,
which does fly in the face of what you would think.
Yes, especially because I'm impulsive. Now, with other people, I can put my foot in my mouth with the best of them. But when it comes to you and me and our relationship,
it's very different.
I am going to not say the first thing that comes to mind because I know I'm going to have to answer for that. And I don't want to have to answer for something that I didn't mean when I said it.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. I say way more with you than I would anybody else in my life, which also is a problem sometimes. So interesting. I guess 20 years of marriage.
So here's how it usually plays out.
Something out in us that's different than our default.
Yeah. Well, here's how it plays out, right? Like you'll make, hey, this is something that upset me, and I'm like thinking about it, and you think that I'm ignoring it and shutting down, and so you keep going. And
because I'm like, well, he didnn't get it.
I'm like, hey,
he's not talking.
Hang on, the car's driving past. I'm trying to get back into it, and it's
like,
funny.
Obviously it's not clicking. I need to re-explain.
But it comes to look at our Enneagram stuff, right? Like I'm an 8, like friction and relationship comes out of conflict, but
with me, you shy away from it.
Because I don't want to hurt you.
And I love that about you.
So,
but also sometimes use your words.
Yes, ma'am. So that's you can. I love it when you speak directly to me, but I am afraid of being what we call an 8-hole. To you, I don't ever want to be.
Did you just say that on the podcast?
I said an 8-hole.
Oh my!
We'll see how many messages I get about that. That came from a friend of mine. He called me an 8-hole.
It's fairly,
the words of a friend.
It's
wound, but
not
they build
entirely
you up.
untrue at times.
Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to point that out because that was a question that the chats GPTs gave me that I was like, this is not accurate to you and me.
Oh, okay.
But, okay, so I'm going to step out the way and let you ask some more questions.
So that was an observation.
That was an observation.
But you were, no, that's a good observation.
That was a question that turned into an observation.
Yeah, that's good.
Into me saying the word 8-hole on episode.
8-hole. Let us.
8-hole.
Let us.
Like the number 8.
Clear that
up. The number 8-hole. Anyway.
Okay. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Okay. What are the cues that you pick up on when you know that my battery's getting low?
Oh man, honestly, when you start to be really frustrated, like I can tell there, and we talked a little bit about this some in our previous episode, but like there's just some intuition that goes on between you and me. Like I can feel the tension. Like there's a shift in, like if we get in the car and
the air gets frigid and ice walls start going up, and I start singing,
"Let It Go." But like. Yeah. You can get in the car and the boys and I are just jamming to whatever, right? And I'm like, she's in the mood for this. She's gonna jam right along with us. But also, like, it's that obvious for me sometimes. I'm like, oh,
just my like body language or comfortability.
Your body, it's so weird.
Not like I like cross my arms and get mean. You sense.
I just know.
Something.
Like like I said, it's an intuition, and it comes from being married for 20 years. Like you just know. Like you can look at me and you can be like, oh, something's wrong with him, and I'm not showing. Nobody else will know. Yeah, and it's the same way for me with you. Like I'm like, oh, she's burnt out. We gotta. Hey, we gotta go. I heard my mom calling me, so we gotta leave.
From 3 hours away.
Yeah, from 3 hours away and 20 years ago. So like, it's something it's not a body language. It's an intuition. I think that's one of the things. Is just I can tell, I can sense it. But maybe that is a physical thing that I'm seeing, and I just know the look that you've got. And you're not rude, and you're not mean. I'm just like, oh.
You just know, you know me very well.
Yeah.
And I think there are times too that I'll say to you, like, I don't know what's going on today. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I could cry over nothing.
And I always appreciate those heads up.
So stupid when that happens. And all of the other women out there can probably relate, like how frustrating that is, like at different points in your life when you're like, I could cry today for no apparent reason. And those are the days when you're like, some days we joke with each other like a lot. Like we'll pick at each other just for fun all day long. And we can both like, I can dish it out. I can take it, all the things. There are days that I'm like, today is not the day. And I just have to say it because otherwise I'm just going to get more and more irritated as the day goes on.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to have fun.
And it can come in the same day and even the same hour. There have been times, and it's not like you're bipolar. It's not anything crazy like that. It's just like 1 minute you're like, you hit the wall and you're like, and I've had to do it with the boys a couple times because they get real
they
like
don't know
me,
when to stop.
And they don't know when the boundary is. And I'm like, you're about to push into like, you're about to actually make me mad. So please stop.
Like this moved from fun to something not fun.
And that is kind of how you worded it for me. Like, hey, I'm cooked. You gotta. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I forget and still and just anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for you, I think I can tell when your battery is full though. Like I can tell because you just, the energy, I think what you were talking about earlier, like the whole like kind of, is that called kinetic energy? Like where one thing keeps it going?
Yes.
Like what are the balls?
The pendulum or the
you know what I'm talking about? Or
I do. I can't think of what they're called.
Where it like keeps momentum going, but
kinetic is the energy that's already in motion. Potential
and it
is
keeps going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Some physicist out there is like melting into the floor.
I know.
I love
they
physics. Don't know what they're talking about
because
I
physics
don't.
In high school, 20 years.
I'm not a science girl.
Oh gosh, how many years ago?
A lot of years.
24 years ago.
So I can tell because your energy level rises and there is just a difference. It's the same.
Yeah.
For you, it may not be like a tangible, like he did this, so I know his battery is full, but I sense it and I can feel, I think it's an energy, like a sensing of an energy. And for me, for you to me, it's probably the same thing. You sense the energy is different.
It's usually the eyes.
I sense my eye color.
Yeah. Your eyes turn green when you're angry.
So you say. I never look into my own eyes when I'm angry, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's just a sense of energy, and I think we both sense that in each other at this point, at least. Mm-hmm. Maybe when like years ago, we might have like, probably years ago, it would be like me snapping at you or something, and you'd be like, "Oh, okay, what is happening?" But we've learned to communicate and sense things better
when our batteries are not synced. Mine is on the way up and yours is on the way down. And I'm like, oh, hey, see you later.
I'm like the little toy car that just like stops. It's like, and yours is like zooming ahead. Suddenly we're not even in the same neighborhood anymore. It's wild. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, since we're talking about batteries.
Okay.
I got a question.
Okay, go.
All right. So this is directed at you, but what are some things for other introverts here? What are some ways that I can help you open up and recharge during busy seasons without overwhelming you? Like because we don't have kids in club sports, we don't have kids that are constantly coming and going.
Praise be.
But I know that our lives do get busy to the point where we're like, oh my goodness.
Especially in the holiday season, right?
Yeah. So what are some things that I can do to help you with that? What are some things that extroverts like me can help their spouses do to recharge? Like throw a book at you and shut the door, or?
Well, I don't advise throwing things at introverts. It could very easily backfire. You just never know. They don't know their own strength.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. That's scary.
That's scary. No. I mean, yeah, here's what I know of myself. This is true for me. I can't speak for everybody.
Okay.
But what I know of me is that I do have a hard time slowing down, especially if there are a lot of things happening. I don't like to just sit still.
That's true.
Unless I'm like, we're watching a show or like I do enjoy reading. So if I get into a good book, then I want to sit and read it. My problem too is like, this is a side note, but if I finish a book and I'm like, I have just become invested in all of these characters in the storyline because I read fiction mostly.
Yes.
My problem is starting a new book because I just expended a lot of emotional energy on these characters in the story, and I loved them and I'm in their world, and then I have to close the book. I have to leave a world behind and start a new one, and that is hard for me. And every time I start a new book and I enjoy it, I'm like, oh, that was great. But the like finishing
cool down time.
Closing one book and opening another is hard. So if I'm not in the middle of a book, throwing a book at me is not going to help.
That's true.
Because then I'm like, that's going to require more energy for me to get invested all over again. And I may not be there yet.
And you may not have even picked out that book. I'm just throwing like something dumb at you and you're like, I don't need that.
True. Because there's the whole decisiveness situation, which is like, which book now? Which one am I in the mood for? Yeah. Okay. Crazy. Okay. So maybe though, I think the helpful piece is creating space. It doesn't have to be a whole day because sometimes that can feel more overwhelming. And you and I had this conversation maybe 2 years ago, I'm thinking around there. And you were like, you need a hobby. And I was like, okay, I don't have one.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did. And we almost got into a fight because you were so insistent on me you wanted me to take a whole flipping day and participate in a hobby.
Yeah.
And I finally was like, I don't even have a hobby. I don't even know what I like to do. Yeah. I've been like working and momming and wifing for however many years now. Yeah. And I just have like, I'm going to sit and read, watch a TV show, which that's fine.
Yeah.
But I felt overwhelmed thinking about, do I need a hobby? Do I have to like go find a hobby and then go buy things for the hobby and then plan a day? And what if I get behind on work, or what if I, you know, like it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so what is more helpful for me, and honestly, we talked about this last episode or the one before, like the evenings for me, that decompression time, like finding those things like, okay, I love cooking dinner. I hate doing dishes. You come alongside me and you help make sure the kitchen is cleaned up, and you help as I need, but I get to do the thing. I get to cook dinner, which I enjoy. And I also get to nourish my family in the process, because that has to be done anyhow.
It does. And you nourish as well.
Oh, thanks. But then like my evening, like just taking a shower and throwing on a podcast. I don't listen to ours, by the way, because that would be weird. But I have other podcasts I listen to, and I like that decompression time for me in the evenings where I don't have to answer questions. I don't have to have a conversation through a shower curtain. Yeah. Like I'm just literally listening to a podcast. I'm showering. I'm my evening routine. And that for me is so crucial. And you create that space for me. So that's where I'm going with that is you create that space for me, and that's helpful. So if you are the spouse or a partner of somebody who is an introvert and you're like, how do I help them when they feel overwhelmed? Doesn't have to be a whole day, doesn't have to be a whole thing, because that can be worse for them in that moment. But find the little times when you can say, hey, I've got the dishes. Why don't you go ahead and go take a bath or a shower or whatever it is you need to do. Hey, remember that show you started watching? Get an episode in before we come watch the show we're watching together, or whatever. Yeah. Whatever that looks like for you, find the little things. It doesn't have to be a whole like event. Yeah. That's my advice.
Okay. That's helpful.
Okay.
Helpful to know. Because my
your tendency is to make it an event.
It is. Because that would be what would work for me.
Yeah.
But
you know what it makes me think of?
What's that?
It makes me think of Jack on This Is Us.
Oh.
Because everything was like a big show or event.
Big to do.
Yeah.
Wait, are you calling me Jack Pearson? I'll take it.
I am not calling you Jack Pearson, but I am saying you're not like him in some ways. Okay. I'll say that.
I'll take it. Works for me.
But also like slow on the events, a little more on the like day to day. Like this is the same reason why I don't like watching movies as much anymore, because I have to pick one out. Oh yeah. But if we get into a show that has 6 or 7 seasons, guess what? I don't have to pick out what we're watching for like 2 or 3 months.
But it's like a book. Like you're getting involved in these people's lives rather than a 2-hour movie. You're on a 77-hour trek through their lives.
Yeah, and I love that though.
Yeah, it's great. I enjoy both.
But the whole like movie versus like the day off, like to go pursue a hobby versus like a moment in the evening or a predictable show that I'm now going to watch for the next 3 months, and I don't have to think about it. Yeah, I just know what we're watching.
It's funny because my extroverted tendency is like, just give me the one day off and I'll go play golf, or I'll go work on the truck or whatever. And that's enough for me. Like I'm recharged in that regard. Now let me go people again. Like, let me go find these folks. And it's fun. It's fun to think about that. All right. You have a question?
I'm
observation,
sure.
A thought?
Okay, so I was thinking about this.
Okay.
Over the years, I think we have developed I don't want to say an exit strategy, but kind of. If I've hit my limit, especially, or maybe you too. I mean, there are times that you're like,
I've hit my limit a few times.
Depending on the people around or like what's been going on that week or that season, right? Yeah. So what do we do in those situations? What has that turned into for us?
Oh, lately it's turned into, what time are we planning to leave?
We established that beforehand.
What time are we planning to leave? And not even that we're making up excuses about why we're leaving, but hey, this is why we're leaving, and we're okay with, we're ready to go home.
I have that as a note. We've learned to be unapologetic.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a big one. And that's hard, especially when it's family.
Yes. There is nothing worse. Here's the deal. For me, being in, like, for example, your grandparents' house.
Yeah.
And we would go over there
Yeah.
with kids in tow and we'd eat a meal.
Yeah.
And then everybody's sitting around. And I'm thinking, we got to get on the road because we
Yeah.
had like a 2-hour drive
Yeah.
and it's dark or whatever. And I'm just like done. Also, like, okay, time
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
How
And we're staring at each other all
well,
awkward and weird.
well, there's no worse feeling than being in a space where I feel like I'm the only one who's ready to leave.
Yeah.
And if I have to speak up, especially like it's not my family, it's your family.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're talking to grandma and I'm like, hey, we got to go. And then I feel like the bad guy because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm dragging him away from his family when, so us talking about it ahead of time is so helpful
Yeah.
because you could set that expectation early on and be like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, we're going to come, but we've got to leave by whatever time people know.
Yeah.
And then we say, oh, it's 3:00. We got to go.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And it's important to note too, like that there's not like this rush to get out of there.
No.
Because honestly, like a 2.5 hour drive isn't a big deal. That's Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the part of that is that I don't want to be on the road after dark
Mhm.
anyway. Like I don't mind driving at night, but if I have a
Um,
choice to choose to drive at night or not at night,
I think that's a sign of aging
Some-
eyes or something.
you can just not say that ever again. But
I will.
but
though.
honestly, it's just being honest up front and be like, hey, we're going to be able to come, but we got to head out at this time.
Yeah.
And like you said, being unapologetic about it,
Mhm.
like we don't have to justify what we're going,
Mhm.
but there's strategy behind it because we do need to get back to the house and we do need to get set for whatever's the next day.
And we don't have to answer for our family's decisions
Yeah.
in those moments.
Yeah.
This goes way beyond that too, for the record.
Yeah.
But like, I think you felt apologetic
Oh, very
because you
much so.
didn't want people to think like,
That I don't want to be there.
yeah. And I felt apologetic for the same reasons, but my motivation was different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's hard because when it's family, like there's this feeling of obligation that you need to be there as long as you possibly
Mhm.
can because you want to soak up that time with them. Well, let's better use that time together then,
Mhm.
so that when it is time to go, if 5:00 is our cut time, like at 5:00, I've done my very best to spend face-to-face time, quality time
To
with
make
everyone,
it count.
and making it count. So it's not just sitting there falling asleep on the couch. Like
Mhm.
for me, I'm like that feels like a waste of time, even though it is nice to,
Mhm.
to nap on the couch.
Hey, I've taken some
But
great Thanksgiving naps at
that's
your
true.
grandparents' house.
That's true. But if the point for me, like for me, if the point's to be there to be with everyone, I want to be with them, and then we've made the most of that time. We've been
Mhm.
strategic with that time to be able to make sure we're building
Yeah.
relationship. And so
Yeah.
having an exit time is okay. And we're not the only ones in the family who do that.
Yeah.
Like we have family who lives 2.5 hours away the other
Mm-hmm.
direction. And when it's time for them to go, they're unapologetic about it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, that's a great example
Mhm.
to follow. And we don't live in town, and it's okay to go.
Yeah. And I don't feel here's the deal. I often have to say to myself, how do I feel if somebody does this
Yeah.
when I'm on the
Oh,
receiving
yeah.
end of it? So
That's
if
huge.
someone's in my house and they say, okay, well, we have to
Yeah.
go now. We're going to say our goodbyes. Guess what? I'm not offended.
Yeah.
Like zero part of
Yeah.
me is offended.
Yeah.
So why would I assume that other people would be offended if I do the same?
Yeah.
Now, there might be people who are because everyone's different, but
Yeah.
in general, I can apply that rule in a lot of
Yeah.
ways and at least make myself feel better about like, well, would this bother me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, then why am I making such a big deal about it?
Yeah. And it's all about perspective, and it's all about the willingness to communicate those things too.
Mhm.
Like, there's never been a time where I'm just like, I don't want to go see my family,
Mhm.
or I don't want to go see your
Yeah,
family. It's
no.
like, hey, I want to go see them, but I want to make the most of the time, and I also want to get back home and be back into our routine and rhythm
Mhm.
because it's important for us to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the motivation for
Mhm.
leaving and setting that up. So, wow, that was a long answer for that question.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's we're on the same page. I mean, we just over the years
Mhm.
kind of because before that it was a lot of like eyeballs and
Yeah.
like pointing to the pretend watch on your
A
hand,
lot of
like
tapping on
under the
leg.
table
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah.
and then it feels awkward,
Yeah.
and then
Because if somebody
it
catches you
feels
doing that,
passive aggressive
Yeah.
if you like kind of ignore it, or then I'm like, well, does
Yeah.
he not notice what I'm doing
Yeah.
or hear me? And that causes more issues than it's worth too. So
Mhm.
for us, just having a clear plan and following through is so
hugely important.
helpful.
And it is helpful for us to be able
Mm-hmm.
to, and honestly, for a personal boundary for us to set boundaries for ourselves to say,
Mhm.
we're not going to make anybody feel bad about us leaving if
Mhm.
we say, this is when we got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise you feel like you're having to justify your way out the door.
Yeah.
And that sucks too.
Yeah, it does.
So
It's not a
I don't
good
ever want to
feeling.
be that person that makes people feel bad for leaving.
No, never.
Like, hey, thank you
I'm
for coming.
grateful
I'm
for
so
the
glad you
time.
came.
Yeah, grateful for the time
Be
they're
careful
there,
getting home.
and yeah,
Text us when you get there.
yeah. Okay.
Or call. All right. Let's see, what questions do we want to ask next? I've got a whole lot of questions, but like they're all. I feel like we've answered most of them.
Let's talk about this. Do we ever split up socially, and do we feel like it's okay? Not split up like relationship,
No.
but like, do we ever go different directions?
So, you mentioned this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I go to lunch with dudes pretty often. I've begun to make it more regular.
It's almost weekly for you at this point, and I'm so glad for you.
Yeah, and for a long time, it was you getting the kids ready for church by yourself. It was you doing all this stuff, and I was, because of work, I was with work things. I was taking care of work stuff, and so we would go different directions, but it wasn't helpful for our marriage. It
wasn't because we decided that's what needed to happen. Because
it was necessitated by work and necessitated by other things. On this side of it, I found us sticking together for the most part, but now feeling a little bit more comfort branching out, because it doesn't feel like I'm leaving you behind anymore.
Right.
It's
a season of life difference too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like now, like if the kids are at church or something, we're eating out, or we're here at the house cooking here at the house, and we're enjoying that time. But it is very intentional. But we do have different friend groups, and I'm can I say this? I'm going to say it. I'm trying to push you out the door to go hang out with people. I'm like, go find some ladies to hang out with. Go find some people that you can connect with. And you're a lot more discerning than I am. I'm not going to say hesitant. You're more discerning than I am. I'm just like, hey, where's the group of dudes? Where are they at? Going to go hang out with them. So that would be where I would say that our paths split some. I want you to go find your ladies. So partially so I don't feel bad going and hanging out with the guys by myself, because if that opportunity comes up, I'm probably going to try and do it. But I don't want to feel like it's unequal or uneven to where I'm always doing that. And you're like, well, when do I get to? Because there is that opportunity for that to feel that way. And I don't want to push you in that direction.
Yeah. Well, you saying that just now made me think of the conversation we had on equality versus equity and the differences.
Yeah.
And this conversation, introvert versus extrovert,
okay,
my needs versus your needs. Like, what do I need to thrive and feel like I'm healthy versus what do you need? Those are very different things, which means that if I'm hanging out with people as much as you are just to say that we're getting equal and fair treatment, that does not mean that it's equitable and that our outcomes are going to both be healthy.
That's true.
So what you need versus what I need is very different in this way. And it is okay for that to be slanted more in one direction because you need more people. Me going out with people just to say that I did is only going to make me an unhealthier version of myself versus me finding authentic relationship where I can have those non-surface level conversations like we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Where I feel like I actually have an invested friendship.
Yeah.
Like that matters.
And that's what I want for you, because I know when you connect with someone, you connect deep. And that's, for me, that gets me excited when you have a person to connect with. It's like that.
But I'm also in this season of life, let's be real, I'm very okay with not having, it's not that I don't want that. It's just that I'm content with being with you and being with the kids. And I have, my sister, I have sisters-in-law. Like, I have people that I can be real with and have great times with, but it just may not be the frequency that you're experiencing in your friendships. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and that's unfathomable for my brain to feel like you're okay with not like talking to a bunch of people. I'm like, I would feel weird if I wasn't out chatting with everyone. Like,
and I feel weird if I am.
That's so crazy.
I also have like I work remotely, but I have a couple of coworkers that like we're frequently on like video calls or whatever. Sometimes it's solving, situations
complex
together.
Equations.
But also there are friendships there and there are work friendships, but I feel like I have some social interaction during my day. It's not like I'm just like holed up in my house in like a dark closet office all day long not talking to anybody. Like there's interaction too, so it's
well, and that's so funny because I can be on Zoom calls all day for work and I'm still like, hey, I want to go hang out with the dudes. because it's different. But again, that's that extroversion
Yeah.
compared to introversion, and like my brain just has a really hard time fathoming how like you're good with not having a lot of people around you all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
okay.
funny.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I think we kind of answered this, but how do we give each other the space we need without guilt?
Yeah. So I'm the one that feels guilt about
Because you feel
taking
like
space.
do you think, okay, you saying that made me think, I think it goes way back to when we were first married.
Probably.
Because, and I mean, when the kids were little, and
Yeah.
I think I've said this before,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like,
Okay.
so we were married in 2005,
Yeah.
and then 2007, our daughter was born in July, and then we had a January 2009,
Yeah.
and then a May 2011. So
Yep.
by the time our youngest, we have 3 kids, by the time our youngest was born,
Yeah.
our oldest was not even 4 yet.
Yeah.
So our once we started a family, our lives took off very rapidly.
They did.
And I did feel like I was drowning for a season.
Yeah.
And you were working outside of the
Yeah.
home. I was not. I was working in the home.
Mhm.
And it was a very overwhelming season.
Yeah.
And because of that, there were times that you did want to do something.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I was dealing with some postpartum stuff that I just had no idea about. I
Yeah.
didn't have the education or the words then like I do now. But I mean, I would just be like feeling like I was just going to burst into tears, and I was
Yeah.
just going to, like, it was so hard for me to think about you leaving me with the kids
Yeah.
when I had been doing it all day, and I was so overwhelmed as it was. So I think some of that,
Man.
so I think some of that from then plays into now,
Yeah.
even though that's not even remotely the season we're
Yeah.
in right now.
Well, I think about it too, and like, yeah, I was an extrovert. I worked around people all the time. I hated that job. Like,
Yeah,
that was
the job itself
that was a very
not
corporate
great.
job that's not even close to what I do now or what I did for a decade
Mhm.
in there in between. But like, I needed social interaction with people that I like to be around,
Mhm.
and I wasn't getting that at work.
And you needed encouragement and
Yeah,
like
I needed good people to be around.
yeah,
me,
you
not
needed
just some dudes.
men to like build you
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
because you were also like new to this husbanding thing and
Oh,
dad
gosh,
thing,
yes.
and I was new to all of it on my
Yeah.
side too, but neither of us felt like we had a place to turn, and I think we both felt like
Yeah.
if I did something or if you did something like leaving the house,
It was unfair. It was going to get.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
felt
you were gonna
resentful,
I was
or-
going to go 2 up on you, and you were going to be
like it was I
you
was
owe me
like
2 times.
yeah, if you got to go out, then now I get to go
Yeah,
out or whatever.
I think you're right. I think it does harken back to that.
yeah,
And
and that was
the
an unhealthy
equity-
view of it,
Yeah.
for the record.
Sure, and that's the equity versus equality conversation we had
Mhm.
last time, like, or a couple times ago. But like, equity is like, what do you need
Mm-hmm.
versus what do I need,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we make those needs met?
And how do
meet
we
those needs?
view one another with
Yeah.
empathy in that space
Yeah,
and
ooh,
compassion?
That's good.
Like, it all plays into this
Yeah.
too. I mean, because what we need now is different than what we needed
Yeah.
then. And gosh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
wow,
There's a whole lot. Man,
That's a lot.
This conversation is going a lot longer in a lot different directions than I expected, but I think it's been really good because actually in this talk that we're having now, I'm having some revelations of like of some of the primal needs that I had as a younger guy that I just didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And now I mean, the more I think about it, the more I understand more about who I was then and why I just felt so like
Frustrated all the time.
Frustrated.
Yeah,
and it didn't have to do with you. It didn't have anything to do with you.
Mm-mm.
It just had to do with
I see
like,
that now. I didn't then.
Well, neither of us did. Like, I just felt mad all the time. Like, I don't understand why I'm so aggravated, and it feels like it's directed at you, but you haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, dude, like if I had known about me then what I know now, and we had known about each other what we know now, like, God, we could have like probably been happier.
Are you saying
Mhm.
that if we had communicated better,
Um,
I think that's what I'm
exactly-
hearing.
those are the words I'm not using, but it's the
Yeah.
implication that I'm making.
Yeah.
Yeah, newly
Communication
married people,
is
golly,
key.
we sucked at communicating.
But also just doing what we needed to do to
Yeah.
keep ourselves healthy.
Yeah.
And you're right, this has gone a different direction for a moment, but I think it's important to note that if you're unhealthy and I'm unhealthy,
Yeah.
we are unhealthy.
We're
Our
unhealthy.
family is
For
unhealthy.
sure. 1,000%.
And so now I think we both have
Mhm.
a better grasp on like, I'm
Yeah.
able to identify in myself, ooh, I'm feeling this way, or
Yeah.
I'm starting to notice these behaviors in me. That
Mhm.
means I am unhealthy and I need to get back on
Yeah.
track before it gets too bad.
Yeah.
And same for you.
Well, and what's interesting about it too is like, I need to trust you when you say, I don't need a whole day, or I don't need to have a hobby, or again, for me, I cannot fathom not having something to do.
You're like, but I need that, so obviously you need that too.
Exactly. Like I mean, I play the guitar and I plunk around on the cajon, and which is a little box drum, and I stink at golf, but I love playing golf, or I enjoy hiking. All of these different hobbies that I have, and I'm like, well, why don't you have one like I have? And you're like, I don't know.
Well, and the hobby, like you said, hiking, I love to hike, but I don't want to go solo hiking. That does not sound fun to me.
That sounds awesome.
I know. And I'm like, I want to hike with you.
I do. I want to hike with you too. But
or like, I want to go kayaking or paddleboarding. Well, I don't want to do that alone. What if I drown? I need somebody there with me.
And again, this is that weird shift in dichotomy.
Do you hear the anxiety?
I hear it. And let me protect you. That's what I'm good at. But
thank you.
But again, it's like,
it's so different.
I want to do those things solo.
You want to go I want
to go my own
sail
pace.
The ocean on your own.
I want to do,
and I'm like,
I want to go my own pace and
never.
God,
I'll go with you.
The human species
are
is
unique.
Weird.
We're not weird. We're just
unique. I like that.
Uniquely wired. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, so
I think we're almost done here.
Yeah, we've answered all the questions, right? No, we haven't. But if nothing else, we created more. We may have to do another podcast on extroverts with introverts and stuff. So, yeah.
Anything else you want to add or say?
I just think like what I want to do is I want to help you to have life, right? I want to help you to feel. I want you to feel satisfied in who you are as a person, and me feed that side of you. Because I know that me not having community with people makes me feel dissatisfied, and it's not because you guys are not enough. It's I need community with men who are guys that I can connect with as an extrovert and as a man. Like you can't fill that void, and you shouldn't try.
Yeah, I don't want to,
and I shouldn't try to put you in that space. Nor can I do that for you. And that's where this is really helpful for me to kind of think about some different things. But like in our marriage, our introversion and extroversion, I think they complement each other pretty well. And I feel like in year 20 now, we are kind of hitting that stride.
Year 21.
Oh gosh.
We're in year 21. Just wanting to point that out. So
after 20 years, I think we're kind of hitting that stride in marriage where we're kind of understanding like it's okay that I want to do some things differently than you, and it doesn't have to be a tit for tat. It can be this is what is satisfying for you and your introversion that feeds you, that charges your battery. You don't need as long of a charge time. You just need a more concentrated charge time. And for me, I just need to go do all the stuff and get it out of my system, basically.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, do you think that our opposites in this way make us stronger or weaker as a couple?
I think now on this side of it that we're having great communication, we're having better communication and growing in our friendship as in our marriage, as we talked about last episode. I think that we are complementing one another in that. Previous to that, where there was a bit of misunderstanding, and at least from my end, I didn't understand everything, and I couldn't understand why you didn't feel the same way I did about things. That it was really difficult for me to know how to best serve you as your husband and help be a good teammate in that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that where we have lacked empathy and compassion and understanding for one another in the past, that has made that tie, like the bond between us, it has weakened it. But where we seek to have empathy and compassion and understand one another better, it only makes it stronger. Yeah. Because, and so I think that's what you were saying as well, like getting to this point where you feel the freedom, and I'm like, go have lunch with somebody. I don't care. Yeah. But we still reserve time for each other. Yeah. You're not going to run off and only hang out with the guys. And, and I'm not going to only sit at home while you're doing that. Like we're balancing everything in a way that's appropriate for our needs, not just as individuals, but as a couple and as friends. And we're not going to compromise our friendship or our relationship in favor of our own individual needs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, as a couple, we're not going to compromise what we need together for what we need as individuals. But we know that if we're healthy as individuals, it's only going to make our relationship stronger.
Yeah.
As long as we're doing both in the appropriate, like, balanced way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good word to end on.
I feel like that was a long way around that because I couldn't think of the word, but yeah.
I use few words when lots of words will do. Right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, this was good. I think this was really fun. So I'm an introvert, you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
So
and we can be compatible.
Help sometimes, but I don't feel like I'm crying for help as much now as I was even a few years ago because we've learned how to come together and recognize that isn't a bad thing, that we're different.
Well, and it's important that you don't feel like I'm dragging you, and it's important that I don't feel like I'm dragging you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we're helping each other, pressing into and pulling back where needed.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, hey, that's episode number 6.
It is.
Help, she's married to an extrovert as an introvert. Not sure what episode 7 is going to be. We're going to have some good stuff coming up. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Thanks for listening in.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Later. You've been listening to the Not There Yet podcast, where we're learning, laughing, and figuring it out as we go because, well, we're not there yet. So you got a story or question from your own introvert-extrovert marriage? Send it in to thenotthereYetpodcast@gmail.com. We might share it on the show or respond to you on social media platforms. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks.